From the Homes for Heroes studio in Minneapolis, Minnesota, you are tuned in to Real Talk with Homes for Heroes. Here are your hosts, Bob Stanky and Seth Jessica.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Talk with Homes for Heroes, the show where we discuss digital marketing tactics and strategies to help you grow your real estate or mortgage lending business. I am Seth Jessica, the emerging media manager at Homes for Heroes, and sitting next to me virtually is the director of marketing at Homes for Heroes, Mr. Bob Stanky. We have a great show lined up for you today because we're going to discuss some paid advertising strategies for the summer of 2020. But before we get into that, speaking of summer, Mr. Bob Stanky, it appears that we're going to miss out on one of summer's in our country's great pastimes. Sounds like Major League Baseball is not going to make the cut this year.
Oh man!
So
I thought they were close. Weren't they close to something?
They've been close like 5 times.
Yeah, it's been back and forth.
I feel like, I don't know, are you getting your fix with Stratomatic? Because I feel like you and I are going to miss out on Major League Baseball and watching our Minnesota Twins this year. I'm losing faith.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to lose faith. Are you getting your fix?
Yeah, I've been playing, different baseball games. Actually, a couple, on my phone or the board game that I talked about a couple episodes ago, right? So yeah, it'll do for now. At least I don't have to pay my virtual players 100% of their salary to play up, 1/4 of a season. So everybody has their own reasons, I guess. But it is a little disappointing that they haven't been able to find a happy medium. So
it is. I know that this is we're turning our what is it? What is the pre-show called? Our monologue. Yeah, we're turning in our Real Talk with Homes for Heroes monologue into a sports show. But it just from what I hear, I listen to ESPN a lot, and it just sounds like the back and forth, just petty arguments between the owners and the baseball players. Mm-hmm. It's just so petty. And what everybody's saying is if they can't figure this out, it's probably going to be damage to the league that won't be able to be repaired for several years. So,
well, I mean, that happened after the 94 strike too.
Mm-hmm.
It took a while for baseball to win its fans back, and a few years actually after that to really get back into the swing of things. So yeah, it'll hurt for sure. But I mean, time's running out. I mean, if they can't figure something out soon, I mean, there's only so much time left to be able to play baseball. So yeah, I might have to wait a year. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, on a brighter note, something that I wanted to talk about with you and bring up with you because I thought this might lift your spirits if they were down for any reason. I did see that.
Thank you for considering my feelings. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I let off with this.
That's very nice of you.
I let off the show with this kind of disappointing news, and shame on me for doing that. But keeping things and turning things around back to a positive side, I did see that there's a lot of food vendors from the Minnesota State Fair that are traveling around the Twin Cities and setting up shop to make their food available.
I've already visited one.
I was gonna ask you if you visited one or if you're planning on visiting one. So which one did you visit?
So there's one in Roseville, in the city that I live in. That's going to be there all year, or all summer, I should say. And it's one of the corn dog cheese on a stick lemonade stands. Mm-hmm. The family that owns the giant slide, the big slide, the big yellow slide, they're from Roseville. And my wife knows the family. I don't know them very well, but my wife knows them. And so they're Roseville residents. And that giant slide, they take that giant slide to a bunch of state fairs. And I think they even have one in Australia, if I recall correctly.
Oh, really?
But with the giant slide, they own a couple of the corn dog cheese on a stick lemonade stands at the fair. So they've set that one up. It's in Roseville. It's at the VFW. off of Lexington and County Roads C, I think. And yeah, it was good. It was good. It was state fair prices. I will say that. Okay. Yeah, you pay a premium for state fair food. So.
Okay, so you got food. You didn't go down the slide.
No, they didn't set up the slide. No,
okay.
It was just the food booth.
Okay, so what did you get?
So their stand sells corn dogs, cheese on a stick. So it's like deep fried cheese on a stick, and then lemonade, and the lemonade is really good. The lemonade is really good. So yeah, went there, took the kids, and I follow a group on Facebook. It's the State Fair Food Finder group. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't checked that out, they post where everything is. I'm waiting for the mousetrap cheese curds to make a presence. I haven't found them yet.
Okay, so that's gonna be my ask for you, Bob. Will you? Go visit with your family. But if you do discover where they're gonna be at, will you give me a heads up so we can go grab some cheese curds, because I am missing cheese curds, and I'm pretty basic when it comes to State Fair food. Actually, you throw anything at me at State Fair, I'll eat it, right? Like a pork chop on a stick, whatever it is, I'll eat it. I love it all. But kind of the staple for me is cheese curds, first and foremost. Like,
yeah, me too.
If you're from the South and you're not aware of what cheese curds are, I don't know if cheese curds is just a Midwest thing or not. But I know that like if the cheese curds come out of Ellsworth, Wisconsin, they're legit.
Yep.
The other thing is mini donuts. I know it's really basic and it's not too interesting, but I mean, come on, mini donuts. I mean, so
yeah, I did see the mini donut beer. Their stand was somewhere, and I can't remember where it was, but so if you dig the mini donut beer that's available at the State Fair, I know that's out there somewhere too in some food trucks. So yeah, there's I don't care if I have to drive to Brainerd to get the cheese curds. I will do it.
Yeah,
I will support the State Fair cheese curds. So they're good. So
well, you better give me a holler before you make that trip, or else you better pick some up. But I don't know if cheese curds coming back from Brainerd would be good several hours later, because they're going to be good, or they're going to be cold. The best part about that State Fair food is fresh out of the deep fryer.
Oh yeah,
it's just not as good without it. So
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so one other thing I want to call out, and this is about me. See what I'm sporting?
No, I can't see the shirt. It's just off the screen.
Oh,
your True Identity shirt.
True Identity. Yes.
There's Explore on it.
Yep. So
because you're just exploring life.
Right. Exploring life from the confines of my apartment. No, this is my True Identity shirt. Colleague Luke Felbrugge, a colleague of ours in the marketing department, owns a business called True Identity, and it's all about helping people discover who they truly are, and then really owning it and being proud of it. And so my one word for this year, if you're a Homes for Heroes real estate agent or mortgage lender, you hear Abby talk about your one word all the time at the beginning of the year. And everything from your personal life to your business life is kind of centered around that one word. Instead of just like setting out New Year's resolutions and saying, I'm going to do this year, I'm going to do that this year, and then having these New Year's resolutions fall off by, for me, the third week of January. You just create this one word and you say, this is what I want to do this year, and everything, your New Year's resolutions center around that. So that's why I have the word explore. But yeah, Luke made this for me, and Homes for Heroes purchased it for me to support my one word. Yep. And so, yeah, just wanted to bring light to it because it's a really great company and it's a really great initiative that I think Luke Felbrugge has going on. So go check out TrueIdentity.com.
Yeah, there you go. My word was all in, which I guess is hyphenated, but because you know
what you were all in? You were all in with homeschooling.
Yeah, well, I'm all done with homeschooling. That's the shirts that say all done. because I'm all done with that. I'm not all in on that anymore.
You're all in from home.
That is all out. All out.
You
Yeah,
are all
that is-
in with everything from
yeah.
home.
Yeah, no, that's not, that is not accurate. I'm half in on the chores. Yeah, I'm half in on the chores. I'm not in at all on any of the cooking because that would be a big mistake. So I don't
If
do
Susan listens to this podcast, I can only imagine where you're sleeping tonight.
that. Oh, she knows it's true. I mean, no, it's yeah, no, I am all in on everything else though. Everything else to do with work and life and everything. It's kind of one of the greatest lines from one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Breaking Bad.
Oh, great show.
One of the characters says, "No half measures," right? No half measures. Like don't just go halfway, go all the way. So that's
All
what I'm trying to
in.
do this year. Yep, I'm trying to make sure I don't leave too many things hanging. I try to go all in on what I want to do. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going all in on this podcast.
You are, and
Thank you.
I can tell you from a witness standpoint, you've been all in on this marketing department and helping Homes for Heroes
Trying.
reach as many heroes as possible, and we've been all in on our paid media efforts, and we've been knocking it out of the park. And that's why I wanted to talk about paid media strategies for the summer of 2020. For a few reasons. So the current state of the real estate industry, there's several factors that are creating barriers and opportunities for paid media. And here at Homes for Heroes, we're experiencing a lot of success. I am helping several of our Homes for Heroes real estate specialists with their advertising efforts as well. And they're seeing a lot of success with it too. But there's some factors that are just creating barriers. One, we're going through a pandemic right now, right? And we're going through a recession, right? So that's creating a barrier for a lot of people because as we know, when we go through tough times, we like to put a tighter grip on our budget, right? We don't like to throw money out the door, so we have to really be careful about what we're spending it on. And we did a great episode about this, about how we can how real estate agents and mortgage lenders can grow their business through this challenging time. So that's obviously creating a barrier for a lot of people to invest money into paid advertising. But that same barrier is creating opportunity for others. And we're seeing a lot of success with this. So because COVID has come along, and because a lot of people are putting a tighter grip on their budget, a lot of people are pulling their money out of paid media, right? So just to give you, kind of brief background, platforms like Facebook or Google operate on an auction system. So the more people that invest their advertising dollars into, let's just say Facebook, the more people that invest their advertising dollars into Facebook, it drives up the cost because you're competing with other advertisers for advertising space on people's news feeds. But because we're going through COVID, so many advertisers are pulling their money out of paid media. So what happens is that frees up a lot of inventory space. So you're not competing with as many people. So that same barrier for people is creating opportunity for others. And Homes for Heroes has seen tremendous success behind that. And I'm going to share some of those numbers with you. And when I share those numbers with you, Bob, I'm going to ask you for a raise as well. So the other thing, so we're also entering the busy home buying season, right? Now, as we talked about last week on last episode on the Inman recap, we have heard from our real estate agents and mortgage lenders, as well as you heard at Inman Connect, things aren't really slowing down. Things are still pretty good, right? So being that we've already entered the busy home buying season and we continue to enter it, we know that our audience is multitasking, trying to do a lot of things, right? So you're busy serving clients and you're busy trying to help people get into their home. So, it could be a time where you just, pull your money out of everything and focus on your customers. And if that's something that you want to do, I'd say, hey, if that's working for you, it's working for you. But there's a lot of people that want to keep, their brand, their business in front of people and keep stuff running in the background to continue to build their business while they're serving clients. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about paid media strategies for the summer of 2020, because I think it's a really important time to do it. And there's a lot of great opportunity back there. So being that not every, scenario is going to be the same, right? There's going to be real estate agents who are just looking, they need leads right now, right? They need to generate leads because things are a little bit slow. And there's going to be people who are extremely busy and they don't need to generate leads. So there's going to be different scenarios. So what I decided to do is, Bob, we're going to role play today.
Cool.
And
all right.
You're going to play the role of a real estate agent, right?
Okay.
Let's call you Robert the Realtor.
Robert the Realtor.
How you feel
I
about
can play that. Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Did you just come up with that?
No.
Oh, okay. No, I'm Robert the Realtor.
I wanted to say yes, I did, because I wanted to sound witty and but really I don't have to really come up with anything too witty, and it makes me look bad that I actually had to think about that. I don't know why I think about Robert the Realtor is role playing today.
I like it. You sent me some role playing questions.
Yeah, so I thought I'd take it in an approach, right? So I could just sit here and I personally I don't like presenting. I would rather discuss topics and have a dialogue rather than just say, hey, do this, right? So I just wanted to role play as if a real estate agent was coming to me in a specific scenario and just wanted suggestions on how they should integrate paid media or advertising into their business this summer. So that's why I wanted to do a little bit of a role play. And honestly, I didn't really prep you for this other than sending you some questions, Bob, but just being that you've got 20 years experience in marketing and, a lot of experience with the paid media, as I'm talking through this, challenge me, question me. I think that we all do better when we're being challenged, and, maybe it's stuff that you all agree with and you think I'm on point, and that's fine, but challenge me as well. And I kept this very simple. So this could take literally 5 minutes, but I did it for a couple reasons. I kept it simple for a couple reasons, is because paid media can feel very overwhelming if you haven't spent a lot of time with it. So just integrating paid media and that advertising strategy into your overall marketing strategy can be a little bit overwhelming. So I didn't want to make it too overwhelming. And I wanted to keep it simple.
Sure.
But there's some things that I came across. So, Bob, do you want to role play and ask me your first question?
Sure, absolutely. Here we go. I am now Robert the Realtor.
This feels really awkward. I can only imagine our audience is just jumping up right now.
Seth, I need to generate some business because things are a bit slow. But my budget's tight and I don't have a whole lot to spend on advertising. What would you suggest? That was a really good role play voice. What would you suggest, though? That is a question we get a lot. It is a question.
It is a question we get a lot. I couldn't have planned it to be any funnier than the way that you read it, and it sounds just as corny as I wrote it. But it is a serious and legitimate question. So, So the way I look at this in terms of generating leads, now there's several platforms you could use, but if you don't have a whole lot of budget and you're just looking to get leads into the pipeline, I would recommend using Google search campaigns. So I would recommend this for two reasons. The first and foremost, the search for home buyers who are searching actively on Google right now is extremely high because it's a home buying season, right?
Yep.
So we talked a little bit about this in last episode too. Like, we know that we're seeing a lot more searches on Google around real estate agents near me, right? Now, this is a very seasonal keyword, right? I did some research on this, and if you look in the month of December, the search behind real estate agents near me is very low. If you see the search behind it in February, it starts to really go up. Now, May, it went back down, but June, it's the search behind those terms has really increased. So we know that the trends behind these keywords and how home buyers are searching around them is starting to pick up right now. So we know that the search is high. But here's another reason why and I'm really proud to share this. So we saw a 55% decrease in cost per lead year over year in the month of May with our Google search campaigns. So essentially what that means is what we're paying half the cost for a lead that we did last year. And this is where I ask you, Bob, for a raise. But no,
I'll pay you in cheese curds.
Okay, fair enough. But that goes back to that point with the COVID-19 situation, right? The reason why these costs are going down is obviously our account is being optimized, and the more time we spend advertising, it's Google's able to optimize our campaigns, and I'm able to learn and optimize our campaigns a little bit more as well. But there's less inventory and there's less competition around those keywords because people have pulled their budgets out of Google search campaigns. So the fact that you're literally paying half the cost that you would have last year means that you're getting it at a very cost-efficient price. So the fact that those two reasons, that people are actively searching Google right now for those keywords, and two, that the costs are half what they were last year, presents a great opportunity. The second platform that I would recommend is Facebook lead generation campaigns. So a number that I'm going to throw out there that shows how COVID is creating opportunity for you as an advertiser. Last year at this time, we were paying 15 times more for a lead than we are now. 15 times. Not twice as much, not 3 times as much, not 10 times as much, 15 times as much. So the pricing on Facebook for a lead is ridiculously low right now. And this is not just what we're seeing in the Homes for Heroes advertising efforts. I'm seeing similar costs with the real estate agents that I'm helping with their advertising efforts. So they're getting it at a really low cost per result. Now, the one caveat that I'll put into this is that obviously with Google search campaigns, you will need a website, right? And there's going to be real estate agents who just aren't able to use a website for their advertising efforts, or they aren't able to install a Google Pixel on their website. So there's going to be all these caveats, right? So you can't just say this is a clear-cut and dry approach. But if all things the same, I would definitely recommend using Google if you have a website. The other reason why I would use Google is people who are going to Google are already in that mindset. If they're searching for specific keywords, you know that they're already in the process and they're already thinking about buying a home, right? If now you compare that to Facebook, when people go to Facebook, like, Bob, I'm going to Facebook to see the State Fair food that you're checking out, right? I'm going there to keep up with my family and my friends to see what they're working on, right? I don't go to Facebook to look for, real estate agents near me.
Right.
I'm not going there to find the best solutions for getting approved for a VA home loan, whatever. I'm going to Google to research information. And when you're advertising on Google, you already know that you're the people who are seeing your ads are already in that mindset as opposed to Facebook. So that's why I really recommend Google over Facebook. Now, the one thing that I thought about too is, like, I know that there's several other real estate agent advertising platforms out there, right? Throw some in there if I'm forgetting them right now, but Market Leader,
Yep.
Zillow Premier Agent, right?
Yep.
Not to say that these are not great opportunities, and certainly if you're gonna leave your comments in the section below this episode and saying, hey, I'm having great success on these platforms, I would say absolutely invest your money where you're already finding success. I mean, I wouldn't say pull out your dollars, but if you're looking to invest money right now, a lot of these platforms use pay-per-click platforms like Facebook and Google to generate leads, and then they farm them out. So maybe a third option, but I would say if you can, approach managing your own campaigns through Google or Facebook, that would be the recommended approach. The other reason why I'm not a big fan of Market Leader or Zillow Premier, I shouldn't say it, I wouldn't recommend them over Facebook or Google because they don't give you the opportunity to brand your business, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
Just for example, with Zillow Premier, I forget what the name of it, but Zillow Premier, when you're advertising, right, you're putting your name and brand along with several other agents within an area, and then the person has the ability to select the person. And I'm not saying that's a bad approach to advertising. I'm not saying that's bad, but with Facebook or Google, you have the ability to put your name, your brand, everything right in front of the customer. That creates more memorable experience rather than just being one person in the list of agents to select from. So,
right.
Does that make sense? Am I?
Oh yeah, no, it makes complete sense. And I mean, the way those Google and Facebook have made their tools now, I'm not saying it's the easiest thing in the world, but it's pretty easy. It's pretty guided, so you can get something set up yourself. I think that's where maybe the factor comes in of just like, it's intimidating to think, oh no, I don't even know how to advertise on Google. You know what I mean? Or how to build ads. So, you watch some tutorials, some resources Seth's put together, or you go on YouTube and you find some videos. I mean, it's pretty straightforward now. So it really saves you that middleman too, which is, can help from some of those other services. But there's always a time and a place for some expert help too. So certainly if you're in need of that, there's opportunities to be able to have someone help you set it up. But I agree with your recommendations. I mean, those are the two biggest places to be, for that first question, for the first role play question. I can't believe how much the costs have come down. I mean, it's not really, I shouldn't say it's a surprise because I've been doing this a while, so we've seen situations where this has happened in the past. People pull their money out of advertising. Usually when something like we hit hard times in the economy, or we have a pandemic, because that happens all the time. Not really, but boy, we learned some lessons, didn't we? But in all honesty, when we have issues with the economy, typically marketing and advertising is usually one of the first things that you figure you can cut back on, right? And so what you're talking about, and just that it's freed up some inventory and there's less bidders in the market. Boy, I tell you, if you can keep your money, it's like the stock market, right? If you can keep your money in even when it goes low, you can have some huge payoffs in terms of like the cost that your CPAs drop so low, your cost per acquisition. So very, very excited.
So I'm gonna pose another question to you about this, because I know that you're well versed on this, because we just did a episode on this on Real Talk with Homes for Heroes. But with all these advertising platforms, I don't care if it's Google, I don't care if it's Facebook, I don't care if it's Zillow Premier, Market Leader, whatever it is. These are leads, right? They're not always going to be the hottest leads. Doesn't mean that they're crappy leads. It just means that they might need some nurturing. So if you're going to invest money into lead generation on Facebook, Google, or Zillow Premier, Bob, what would we recommend that they have in place?
Well, a lot of things. Having a website, but having a good journey built.
Yes.
A good way to manage your leads. A good dropping those leads into buckets that make sense. Go back and listen to that lead episode we had. This is about lead management and it was a couple episodes ago. I think that whole episode is a really good place to start for and that's one of the great things about Google, right? Because you could launch campaigns for each segment of your journey, because people's searches usually indicate what stage they're in, right? Mm-hmm. So if I just say, if I search something, I'll use an outside real estate example. How much does a 40-inch TV cost? Right, that could be my search, right? That's pretty generic. That shows I'm pretty much at the top of the intent stage of trying to understand, hey, just in general, how much do TVs cost, right? Mm-hmm. But I may say as I go through my journey of purchasing a TV, now I may get really specific, right? Mm-hmm. How much does a 40-inch Samsung high-definition TV with an OLED display, whatever, super detailed. Now that tells me, if I'm a company that sells TVs, that my intent is a lot higher. So I may run different ads based on different intent stages, and then you can place people directly into the place you want them to go. That's why having a website is so important. So you mentioned that a little bit earlier about if you have a website. I wouldn't even say if you have a website. If you don't have a website, you need to get a website. And there are so many options out there now that are so affordable. Mm-hmm. So affordable. I'm telling you, there's even free websites out there which have their pros and cons, right? Mm-hmm. But just having some sort of place so you can execute on these advertising strategies, that's definitely something I would add on to what you talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll actually I'll put a link. I'll put a link right here if you're watching it on YouTube to that episode about lead management and how to nurture your pipeline. But if you are tuning in on a podcast directory or YouTube, I will also put that link in the show description. So if you want to check that out, but I always like to reinforce that, because a lot of people just assume that people are signing up and they're going to buy a home, right? But these people need a nurturing process. They need to be nurtured. They need to be educated. You need to earn their trust. Your brand needs to earn their trust. So really that content and that follow-up is critical. So I just wanted to throw that in there and make sure that we're noting that. So
sometimes I think as businesses, we have a hard time remembering that the stages of the buying process and how long they are. Sometimes I always have to remind myself, because I'm guilty of this, I have to remind myself to put on my consumer hat or my buyer hat and think about the last, purchase I made around something, right? And think about, actually I did quite a few web searches. I visited a couple of places. I looked at a couple of products before I actually made a purchase. You know what I mean? It's like buying a car. Very few people I know go to the dealership in one day and find a car in 30 minutes and buy it, right? I mean, you usually look around, you test drive cars, and so sometimes you got to put the other hat on just to remember what it's like to be. Because us as business owners and marketers, and we like to think like we can just make a sale, or we can, someone's ready to buy, and that's not always the case. And sometimes it's just easier to be like, well, wait a second, when's the last time I bought a house? I mean, boy, the process I went through, how long it took, you just kind of check yourself back into what is it again on the consumer side. So just always take that into consideration.
Bob, when do you think because I can't remember, but we can have some kind of guesstimate here. When did I start talking to you about buying a camera?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, when did you actually get the camera? Or you haven't even got the camera yet?
No. So I actually bought a camera last night.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that just shows you it's been a while. You've been talking about it since the fall, at least.
So I'd say not quite a year, but at least 6 months. And,
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, even though I've gotten more serious
actually,
about
it was probably right around the beginning of the year because you were talking about getting one before going down to San Antonio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been probably 6 months.
So it's been 6 months. I've been thinking about it. I've been an interested buyer, and now this camera is not nearly the cost. I mean, I say that now, but I feel the bite now because I just spent the money. It's not cheap, but it is not the price of a home, or it's not the price of a car. But I've been thinking about it. I've been in the buying stage for 6 or 7 months. I've been more serious about it. I've had that intent for probably the past month, but really the past week or two, right? I can't tell you how much online searching I have done, how many websites I've visited, how many YouTube videos I have watched to educate myself on that decision.
Yep.
So, I mean, I can't tell you how many ads I've seen in my Facebook timeline from Canon, from Best Buy, from B&H, because they all know that I'm interested, that I'm in that buying stage. And they're trying, because I've visited their websites. They know that I'm interested in that stuff. So they're targeting me right now because they know that I'm in that buyer stage. And I mean, they could have been targeting me for 6 months, right? But they're staying in front of me. So,
and this is where you can get I get super geeked out about stuff like this, because I bet that as you came closer to yesterday and the purchase, your number of touches or inquiries on the web about a particular product, it amplified, right? It grew. So you look at maybe 3 months ago you were searching once in a while, maybe once a week, but then when you started to get closer to that buy stage, your number of searches, your number of inquiries on the web and Google greatly escalated. It went up on kind of like a hockey stick chart, right? And so what we do in marketing, when you have the systems to be able to track that on a per user basis, that's usually when those ads start kicking in.
Yep.
Because they're like, oh boy, here we go. Seth is really, he's doubled, tripled his searches. He's gone to our website, 10x times more than he was 3 months ago. Now's the time to hit him. This is what smart marketers do, right? They know that, they understand that, and then they double down their budget on, wow, we've got someone who's really close. We can tell he is super close. Seth is super close. And so you'll see this amplification of ads or display or what have you, or maybe emails even. And so, that's...
And when you're getting, or you know that you're getting close to making that purchase when those advertisements turn from just product advertisements to promotional advertisements. Because those advertisements turn from a carousel ad of showing all the different products to, hey, if you still are interested in buying this specific model camera, you can get it with 18-month financing and no interest, or get 10% off or whatever. So they turn into promotional ads.
Or get a free camera bag, or you get tons of different promotions that will come, or coupons. Amazon's really good at this. If you drop something in your cart and you leave it there for a while, you'll start seeing ads for it. You'll see that maybe it's gone down in price. You'll get an email. This is it's all about understanding what stage of intent someone's in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that, if you're listening to this episode, that you have to start from this point when you get into advertising. I'll actually provide a link to this guide in this episode as well. If you want to learn more about this approach to advertising, using a full marketing approach, retargeting, and this building and creating advertisements around the mindset of the consumer using, brand awareness, consideration, and conversion campaigns. I'll provide a link to that guide in the show, but I'm not suggesting that you need to start from that point when you get into Facebook advertising. If you just want to run a lead generation campaign, run a lead generation campaign because the costs are really great right now. I would just really recommend that you do have some kind of nurture lead management process set up and in place so you can really get the best results out of your advertising efforts. Because if it's just a phone call and a text, it's going to be really hard to convert those leads into actual home buyers. So, Bob, you want to ask me the second question, and ask it just as great as you did the first one, because I really enjoyed the first one.
Yes, this is my role playing voice.
Robert the Realtor.
Robert the Realtor. I gotta get into character here. Okay, here we go. Seth, business is good, and I'm staying busy. But I want to keep building my brand by keeping it in front of people in my community. What would you recommend I do? That was even better than the first one.
I would recommend that you always talk to me in that voice. That's what I would recommend.
Seth, how's that project coming along today?
It's not going to come along at all after doing this. No, so I think that it's really important to for people who are just wanting to keep things running in the background, to keep brand awareness campaigns going. So if I was going to suggest that you run some kind of campaign to keep your business, your brand in front of the people in your community, I would recommend running a campaign on Facebook. Reason being is that the inventory is pretty comparable on Facebook and Google. The costs are pretty similar in terms of impressions. But Facebook tends to be a much easier platform than Google to set up and manage your campaigns with. The other thing I really like about Facebook, and this is actually goes to the guide that I'll provide in the description of the show, but you can run a video views campaign for a brand awareness campaign. And I highly recommend that you always use the video views campaign when you're running brand awareness campaigns. The reason being is that you can really identify an audience who is showing interest in your business based on the percentage of the video that they watch. It's much easier to, so for example, Bob, you and I as marketers, we know what brand lift means, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can see like an incremental increase in brand lift is a good thing. But in terms of like driving the bottom line in leads, it's really hard to connect that to the bottom line of your business, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But if I tell you can run a video views campaign on Facebook and you had, 1,000 people watching 50% of that video, you would say, hey, they're probably really interested in what you had to say because they actually invested the time to watch your video, right? We know how overwhelmed our timelines or our news feeds are with content. And so if somebody's actually taking the time to stop their scroll, check out your video for 50 seconds, you know that they're interested. And then with the custom audiences on Facebook, you have the ability to retarget them with like a lead generation campaign. So let's just say that you're completely busy right now. You have enough business coming in, right? You just want to keep your business and brand in front of these people and just make sure that you're always staying out there, always staying relevant. I think the video views campaign is a really easy campaign to set up on Facebook. It is so much easier to measure the success of it than like a brand awareness campaign that uses brand recall or brand lift. But then you can also really build out those audiences. So like say fall comes along, right? And some of these people who checked out your videos, maybe they did go through the process of buying a home. They might be relevant to home buyers. They might not be in the buyer's journey anymore. But let's just say like in a month or two, things start to slow down, right? Then you can go back in, you can run a lead generation campaign and retarget these people who expressed interest in your business and what you had to say and start generating those leads again. So I really think that is the lowest hanging fruit and it's the easiest for somebody who's getting into paid media to really manage a campaign with. Then the second option that I would give, and I really do love Google because of the variety of options that are available to you through Google advertising, but it's a lot harder to set up those campaigns, especially if you're going to set up a campaign for YouTube.
Sure.
Great. Don't get me wrong. Great brand awareness plays. I know that one of Homes for Heroes' really successful real estate agents out in Colorado, Ryan Moberly, he loves advertising on YouTube, and he's a big, huge fan of it. He's found a lot of success in it, so I'm not against it. It's just it's a lot harder to create videos around that because you have your 6-second bumper ads, you have your 15-second midstream ads. You have these variety of ads. Now you can create display ads, which are ads that appear on websites. You had mentioned this earlier. Like, let's just say that you wanted to run display ads on realtor.com or something like that. Like places where home buyers are going to look for real estate services, right? You can create a display ad and you can choose to show those on particular websites so you can target home buyers. So don't get me wrong, great way to keep your business in front of an audience, but I just think it's a little bit harder to manage and a little bit harder to retarget. Now you can retarget people who click through a display ad and went to your website. So let's just say that you ran a display ad and it showed up on Zillow.com or whatever, and a home buyer saw it, clicked on it, went to your website. Now you can retarget them, but if they were just checking it out and you really your advertisement piqued their interest, but they didn't click through, you would not have the ability to retarget them like you would with the Facebook video views campaign that I talked about. So how does that
Yeah, I like that tactic.
Challenge me. I mean,
no, I no challenge here because I love that tactic. I mean, we talk about video a lot and using more video and how effective it is, and so this is just another way to use video, right? It's another, it's like, well, I talked about Success Camp, and I know I probably mentioned it on this podcast a few times, but finding ways to, multi-purpose what you've created and using it, content, whether you write a blog or you create a video, can always be an effective advertising element, usually. So in this case, I totally agree with that. Awareness is really tricky. You're talking about lift, and I was thinking about how actually in May we had Homes for Heroes had some tremendous brand lift, because we do our foundation, the Homes for Heroes Foundation, does a big grant in May, and so usually it gets picked up by media sources. News stations pick it up. It gets picked up by various different media outlets, blogs, and things like that. So what happens is we see this rise, this lift in what you were talking about, brand lift. We get more traffic to our website. We get all this kind of stuff, but it's primarily just awareness. It's awareness. It's an awareness play. It's just keeping people, reminding them of us or introducing us to them for the first time. So there's some really great research out there that you can pull around what's called brand recall. There's actually tactics you can use to test people's brand recall. One of them that I've used in the past is called Google Opinion Survey, and it's an app, and it's a way you can survey people who have come in contact with your website or a video of yours or whatever, and you can ask them a series of questions, but you're mixed in with some other things they've experienced, right? And what you're trying to see is, did your brand stick out? Did your name stick out? Did what you do stick out enough that they remembered it a week later? Right? That's kind of the test. Yep. The test is, this tool, this opinion survey tool, will ask the user, hey, here's 5 brands. Do you remember any of these? Do you remember coming in contact? Did you visit any of these websites? And there'll be some random brands in there, right? But then there'll be yours.
Yep.
And if they select that, and then they go through the rest of the survey, whatever, that tells you that your awareness campaign had some impact. It brought some awareness to people. And so there's a lot of different things you can do to measure that. So that's kind of step 2. I'm going a little bit deeper in what you're talking about, but I think what I'm trying to get at is
relevant.
Yeah, what I'm trying to get at is that awareness campaigns, while they have a hard time delivering hard bottom line numbers, can have some huge impact on your marketing efforts. So yeah, when business is good and things are going good, I always talk about always on campaigning. I think it's important. At other places I've worked at, we've done always on advertising. We never would shut it off, because if we were in a peak selling season, we would just amplify what we were doing. But during non-peak seasons, we were still running things. We just switched the tactic to be more brand awareness as opposed to, purchase intent. So,
absolutely, and I would even say that so I know that I talk a lot about Facebook or Google or paid media. It's my job, right? This is what I do. This is Bob. This is what you tasked me with doing. Saying, Seth, you need to drive traffic. You need to drive leads for Homes for Heroes. So that's why I talk about it so much. But even though that is my role and responsibility, I'll be the first one to tell you that if you're solely investing in paid media, if that's all you're doing from a marketing standpoint, especially if you're doing it for Homes for Heroes, I'd say that you're not doing enough. Because really, I think that, whether you're busy or not, running your ads in the background while you're doing other things to grow your business is important. So this is probably only going to be, people in the Twin Cities are probably going to be familiar with this, and it might be a little bit abstract to other people. But Bob, who is really good? What real estate agent is notorious for doing this in the Twin Cities?
Chris Lindahl. He's everywhere for a reason, right? His strategy is worth a podcast by itself, because the tactics he uses and some of them are absolutely crazy, right? But but brand recall. I just gave it to you. Even if I wasn't in real estate, I would be able to name, I would be able to know. I mean, it's amazing how many people talk about him, right?
Okay, so hold on.
Because of that.
So real quick, I know that we got to wrap up this podcast. Yeah. But real quick, I want to play a game with you. Do you have time?
Sure.
Okay. And what
sure.
are you going to say no in the middle of the episode?
No, Seth, I don't have time for that. No, I'll play along. What do you got?
Okay. All right. So to I guess prove my point, or to make my point with this brand recall, brand lift, and not relying solely on paid media as your way to build your business, but it's effective. Let's quickly see how many tactics, not just paid, but total tactics that we've seen Chris Lindahl use to build his brand. I've seen him on YouTube bumper ads, Facebook, billboards, Facebook.
The guy flies a plane with a banner. Several times a year.
Yep.
He's on the radio.
I've seen him on the radio. I've seen him on the news.
Do you know that he sponsors a local Twin Cities radio station, like their their studio that
Chris
Lindahl Studios. Yep.
I think it's is it KDWB? No.
Yeah, it's KDWB. He's on buses.
Bus
wraps. Yep. With his arms out.
I've seen him at the scoreboard at the Wild game. I've seen him. I mentioned it already, but I kind of got lost. I've seen him do like news segments on the news related to real estate.
Yep.
I've seen him on podcasts. I have seen him being interviewed on YouTube. So I guess we just listed off a lot of things, right?
And the guy catches a lot of flack because people are like, "Oh my goodness, we see this guy everywhere."
Right.
But at the same time, you could probably, and this is just a guess, but I'm guessing if you took 10 people off the street right now, at least 7 would know who we're talking about, right?
And you can see
that's brand awareness.
And you can see that his advertising efforts have shifted from creating awareness around how, because he has this what is that offer called, that special offer that
the guaranteed offer.
The guaranteed offer. He has a guaranteed offer that he has that's kind of been his advertising branding, his kind of staple, but he's shifted now because now he's doing more advertising towards real estate agents to build his team, which means he's got a lot of business in the pipeline. He needs people to support that business. So, I mean, I guess my whole point about this is I'm not trying to promote Chris Lindahl, and if Chris Lindahl, if you hear this podcast, give us a call because we're actually going to need some sponsorship.
Sponsor the podcast.
No, but my point behind this is that he doesn't just strictly rely on paid media to grow his business. He's looking at all different ways, and I know that he has a team, and it's going to vary depending on like how many assistants you have, if you have a team or if it's just yourself. And I'm not saying that you have to bite all this off, but if you are a Homes for Heroes real estate agent or mortgage lender and you just want to invest in paid media, do that, but then continue to go out and build relationships within your community. Don't let that stop you from doing other things. And I will be the first one, even though I love paid media, I'm a geek when it comes to Facebook advertising and Google advertising and all this other stuff. That can't be your full marketing approach or your full marketing strategy.
Sure, right. Yep.
That covers everything that I got. I thought this was going to be a 10-minute podcast, and I think you and I should just...
With us talking, that's never going to be a 10-minute podcast.
But I don't know. As Robert the Realtor, would you take my recommendations, Bob? Are you going to buy into
Seth, I feel so much better about the advice you've given me today. Thank you for your time.
Oh.
No, it was really good. It was good. It was good stuff. Two very, very relevant questions we get, so I think they were great answers.
Good. Well, they're questions that we get, so I hope that this episode provides some context into what I would recommend if you were to shoot me an email or give me a call and ask me. And again, if you want to get some more context into how you would put this into play, I'll definitely put a link to that guide below so you can check it out. And also check out Digital Dive with Homes for Heroes because there are some tutorials on how to actually go and set up your Facebook campaign. So there are resources that Homes for Heroes provides you that can help you with this outside of this podcast. So Bob, well, before I give you the chance to give you an outro, as you're going to take us out of here, real quick. Happy Father's Day. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Got any big plans?
I'm going to go golfing.
Okay.
I'm going to go golfing on Sunday.
All right.
With my dad.
Cool.
So that'll be fun.
Well, enjoy it.
And there is a benefit to being a dad and having kids. So real quick, I know you don't have any yet.
You don't have any yet.
Well, so I know, like, was it last week or a couple weeks ago? You had donuts. Remember? Remember you had donuts. Do you have any donuts today?
I don't.
Well, let me tell you something, Seth. Payback is, well, I won't go any further with that, but payback it's the thing, right? So I have kids, and I have a kid who has a driver's license, which means she runs out and gets donuts.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Man, look at you.
This has been staring me in the face.
Is that an old-fashioned?
Yeah, we were about halfway through the podcast, and she came in. And I don't know if you noticed, I had to wipe the drool off my chin because she brought this in because she went and picked up a couple of donuts. And, I'm going to enjoy this because you got to enjoy donuts the other day without me, and so now, I'm going to return the favor. Just saying.
You deserve it, my man. You deserve it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got a National Donut Day, you got an anniversary, and you got Father's Day all within a couple weeks. So
oh man,
I think you should indulge in more than just one donut, but
for sure.
All right.
Seth, that's why I've got two. I only showed you one, but since you said I could have more than one, I happen to have two. Look at that.
Should I have ever doubted that?
You set that up perfectly.
Yeah, I should have.
Like, you deserve more than one. And I'm like, well, actually.
Oh, kudos to you, man. Now, all right.
I've trained these kids well.
Now I'm gonna go out and buy donuts.
All right.
Thanks for spending my money there, Bob. All right, so I'm gonna let you take us out of here. But to everybody who is tuning in, make sure that you tune in next week, as me and Bob will be back here, same bat time, same bat channel, and we will be doing the monthly roundup for the month of June. So,
oh my goodness.
Being said, we might do the monthly. We might do that half year monthly roundup. Or,
where's this summer going?
I don't know.
Holy cats.
I can tell you that baseball and the state fair is not helping us pass the time.
No. So I was just thinking, like, I use my role playing voice. Now I should use my radio voice for the outro.
Do it.
For more information about Homes for Heroes, visit www.homesforheroes.com. To reach Seth directly, no, I don't think I can hold a straight face the whole time doing that. So instead, I'll just say this. We are on just about every single podcast distribution network available out there, including Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, and Spotify and all the other ones that that are out there, Podcatcher, and there's a whole bunch of them out there. So make sure that if you're in one of those and you can rate and review our podcast, please do, because that helps people find it. And if you want to see Seth and I talking and displaying donuts and all that kind of stuff, the stuff you can't see through your ears, you can certainly catch on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search for Homes for Heroes, and there you will find not only Real Talk with Homes for Heroes, but a bunch of other videos that we release on a weekly basis. There's a number of them now. So, and let's not break the details now, but one to come, right? Another show coming on that's in pre-production right now.
Yes.
That is coming, and we'll have a totally different host than Seth and I. So
thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. Finally, we found someone else to take some of this airspace.
Yes.
No, but a new show coming in July, right? I think we're in pre-production
1st.
right now, and so July 1st that will be coming out. So that's super exciting. So definitely find us on YouTube and subscribe. On this particular video, leave a comment. Leave your best role-playing question. Seth will answer it. Maybe I'll read it on a future episode. I don't know. In my best voice impersonation. But definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. And as always, visit homesforheroes.com, because that's where you can find out everything about our wonderful program. If you're not an affiliate of our program, you can join right from there. So that's all I got.
Perfect. I feel like our audience is sitting here thinking, like, how much did these guys have to drink before getting on the air? That's all right.
Nothing. I haven't even had a donut yet.
We just like to have fun. So if you made it through to the end of this podcast and if you were able to put up with our antics, we certainly appreciate it. So thank you guys so much for spending your time with us on Real Talk with Homes for Heroes, and we look forward to seeing you guys again next week.